In this video, I'm going to tell you why Assetto Corsa 2 probably won't be Assetto Corsa 2. Thanks to everybody that's used my Amazon and Fanatec affiliate links when buying sim racing equipment. It has very much allowed me to live this absurd and undeserved sim racing life. Again, cheers, on with the video. The biggest reason as to why AC2 probably won't be AC2 is ACC, Unreal Engine, and the success, at least from a sales perspective, of ACC. So why is Unreal Engine relevant to this conversation? Firstly, let's give credit where credit is due. I'll put my annoying YouTuber sim racing player hat to one side, and I'll put my developer business hat on, and firstly say the risk from a development perspective of going from one engine to another engine is a very risky thing for a developer to do. But there's a potential there for a project to be a total arse up and not have anything at the end of the day to show for it. And, you know, a month of unproductive game development, even if you only have 10 staff, and I think Kunos at the time probably had like 30 staff, or, you know, even if you only have 10 staff, it gets very, very expensive very quickly. So if you take the risk of moving from one engine to another engine, and 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, 4 month, stuff starts going on, it doesn't take long before your company's gone bust. So it absolutely huge risk for Kunos to move from the engine they were using from the original Assetto Corsa to Unreal Engine. And credit where credit's due, from your average player's perspective, and even from a lot of sim racers' perspectives that don't care about force feedback and certain things and good frame rates and VR, from their perspective, ACC is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, it's a perfectly great product. And from a business perspective and general sales perspective, ACC is a really great product. So Kunos had the AC moved to Unreal Engine, took all the risk, and it's actually panned out as they've got a good, solid foundation there as a cross-platform game engine with the AC physics in it. So they've taken the risk. They've got something that works. Would you, as a developer, then move from Unreal Engine back or back to the previous engine but do more work on it, or from Unreal Engine to another engine, given that you'd already taken the monumental risk and relatively succeeded with the Unreal Engine? Would you change? I don't think many developers would. Now, some would, and Kunos are mental, so maybe they will do. But I don't think many would. So I would argue, from purely a position of speculation and business conservatism, that AC2, if it were to happen, would be in Unreal Engine. And with that in mind, in my opinion, ACC, its general wrapping, packaging, and nature of the Unreal Engine as well, and also just the decisions that Kunos have made with ACC, really, it's at its foundational level, it doesn't really capture the essence of what the original Assetto Corsa is or was. And again, from a business perspective, I don't quite see where the financial and business motivation would be to try and recapture the original Assetto Corsa. And also, even if they did, I'm not quite sure how they would compete with the sheer volume of mods, content manager, Ilya's work, all the stuff that AC's still churning along, and in many ways is a better sim than Assetto Corsa and Competizione. So I don't even know how they would compete with even their original game. The only thing that would really make sense is if they literally went back to previous engine and then started improving that, and then tried to overtake, maybe with backwards compatibility for mods and stuff, and then tried to overtake the work that Ilya's done. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, it just makes so much more sense from a business perspective for them to literally take the work that they've done with ACC, do new content in it, license it, have a really nice solid package, and also I think that's what people would like as well. I think one of the biggest reasons why ACC was successful is because people that are playing driving simulators, there's a real demand for, it's a proper series and it captures that whole series. It's not just like hodgepodge content, random stuff stuck into some simulation physics engine. It is a product. That's why F1 2021 is very popular. Also, it's IP marketing and Formula 1 Drive to Survive stuff, but that's why ACC is really popular, and I think that's why stuff like R Factor 2 and Race Room, not all of Race Room because it has a DTM and stuff, but Race Room in general has struggled in many ways because it's not like a defined product. There's a definite value to having a defined product, and with Kunos now being a sort of publisher-owned developer, they are in a position to deliver that sort of product and a package much better than they probably were in the past, where when you're an indie developer, you really do have to leverage the work of mods to be able to get enough content into the product to make it a desirable product. So yeah, I just don't see what's the motivation for them to compete with themselves as such, because they are still making money from the original Assetto Corsa, so why do the same thing again? The only reason really would be to just use the name AC2 to leverage the brand IP, but actually not make AC2. So that Unreal Engine thing, the risk, the business motivation, is probably one of the biggest reasons why I don't think AC2 will actually be AC2. Secondary to that is that Kunos are no longer the same Kunos that did Assetto Corsa. The whole transition from so you had like Netcar Pro Kunos, you had Netcar Pro, Ferrari Virtual Academy, and then Assetto Corsa. That was all sort of Kunos. By the time ACC came out and was sort of in development, to me, from my experience with independent development, it came across very much like if you've been working a long time in an indie studio and you've been doing the same project, some people on the staff get bored of doing the same work, the same stuff. They want to they want to do something different. They may want to do a different business. They just don't want to be doing the same thing. And so by the time that Kunos got to ACC, the whole point was that it was an opportunity for them to sell the company. It's an escape route for certain members of staff, whilst still allowing other members of staff that want to keep working in Kunos to have a job and keep working on what they want to do, keep developing driving simulators. So fundamentally, I would say that Kunos pre-ACC or pre the launch of Assetto Corsa Competizione was a totally different business. Effectively, you've gone from a pure, total, like proper indie business where absolutely mental stuff happens, everything's sort of ad hoc, everything's like random and very experimental, to a more sort of traditional AAA studio, publisher owned, still small, but there's a drastic cultural change in what you're probably going to get from Kunos moving forward from ACC to what Kunos were with Assetto, Netcar Pro, FEM, what have you. So again, that cultural shift will show in the product, in the type of decisions that are made, the type of risk taking that's made, and the general nature of the end game or the end simulator. And again, that type of more formal business structure is not the type of structure that ends up producing games like the original Assetto Corsa. AC2 in name, but not in game. I'm not going to apologise for that. It was terrible. But playing devil's advocate here, and I will say it's entirely possible that maybe Unreal Engine or the fork of Unreal Engine they're using has been a complete and utter arse, and maybe they have gone, look, we're going to just use a different engine. Maybe not use the previous Assetto engine. I can't remember what the core was. I don't know what it was. Maybe they're going to do something totally different, because Unreal Engine might have actually just been a total nightmare and might not, given the performance that it had on the next-gen consoles and given that they were asking so much of it, maybe the production pipeline benefits that typically come with Unreal Engine, if you're doing a standard sort of platformer game, FPS or what have you, maybe none of those really came through, and so it actually is worth them going to a different, trying another engine, or maybe using a newer build of the Unreal Engine that rectifies a lot of what I think are big problems with the current build or fork of the Unreal Engine that they're using. So maybe they will use a different engine. Maybe they will do something. Maybe they'll go mental with even better mod support. Maybe they'll go absolutely crazy, and we will genuinely, legitimately get an actual Assetto Corsa 2. How amazing would that be? But I'm cynical, and I've progressively got more and more cynical especially over the last 3 years. My cynicism. I always think that I can't get more cynical, but actually I'm always surprised by how this cynicism bar could be lowered to levels that you didn't even think was possible. So I'm determined to be as pessimistic and cynical as possible, and just assume that AC2 will be ACC, but with different content, some different branding, a nice bit of polish, some nice licensing, but probably. I know they'll probably improve like the VR support or whatever, DLSS, make a big thing out of DLSS or AMD Super Resolution. It's like, oh, that's, you know, woo. they'll toot the horn, but it will literally just be ACC with different content, which isn't a bad look. That's not necessarily a terrible thing. People are big fans of ACC. People that don't have hands that can detect force feedback, and you know, a lot of people would be happy with that. But as a hardcore holy grail, brainwashed Assetto Corsa aficionado, and someone that literally, like, having driven a real race driver, having driven a real car, like, AC just feels like driving a bloody real car. ACC does not. From that perspective, it will just be slightly depressing for me. But a lot of people will be very happy. So that's all that matters, really. Money and most people being happy. That's the world we live in. So, yeah, you know what? Let me know what you guys think in terms of if you think my argumentation for why AC2 probably won't be AC2. Maybe you agree or disagree. How optimistic are you for it to be some kind of second coming of Christ versus second coming of ACC? Let me know. But, you know, thanks for watching this rambling video. More rambling than a walk in the Peak District. And until the next one, make sure you click that subscribe button, make sure you hit the like button, and make sure you drink too much tea. Goodbye, everybody.